This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. When it comes to the lie surrounding the election of 2020, the big lie, the lie that Donald Trump had the election stolen from him, the claim that they make without any evidence whatsoever, they just out of the sky, they say things. They don't have to back them up because the unwashed mob, the uneducated mob, the underinformed mob will believe it. Anything that validates their worldview, they're going to believe without evidence. And because of intrepid reporting from the New York Times and also some of these lawsuits, I've said from the beginning, for a long time I've been talking about, we are going to be finally see the truth and get justice through some of these civil lawsuits that are out there because of the process of discovery where both sides have to produce documents relative to the case. We're finding out now that there are two groups of people: the stupid who believe what they're told, and which, maybe that's forgivable. Maybe that's understandable. Maybe that's at the very least explainable that they believe the lie because they're stupid. But for me, I think the question is poignant, but for me, it seems that it's worse if you know the truth, if you know it's a lie, and continue to promulgate it, and continue to spread it, and continue to convince the stupid among your supporters that it is true. Because it does very real damage to our democracy, our very manner with which we self-govern. And the New York Times has gotten a hold of a memo, a 14-page memo from Trump lawyers debunking the claims of conspiracy theorists like Sidney Powell and Lynn Wood and Rudy Giuliani. People who are now facing multi-billions of dollars in lawsuits for defamation by companies that they defamed or allegedly defamed. I'm going to talk about this in the course of reading from this New York Times article. Trump campaign knew lawyers' voting machine claims were baseless, memo shows. Days before lawyers allied with Donald Trump gave a news conference promoting election conspiracy theories, his campaign had determined that many of those claims were false, court filings reveal. Again, I've been talking for a long time about our steady march toward truth, toward seeking what really happened, and seeking consequence and justice for Donald Trump and his cohort of anti-democratic ghouls is going to come through lawsuits like this, through both books that are written that hopefully will result in the Justice Department getting off of their hands and doing something, because up to this point they're doing nothing, through justice from the Select Committee looking into the events of January 6th. They're going to be getting some of their marching orders, I use that term loosely, but some of their objectives to investigate through reporting in books and from lawsuits. And this is another case of that. 2 weeks after the 2020 election, a team of lawyers closely allied with Donald J. Trump held a widely watched news conference at the Republican Party headquarters in Washington. At the event, they laid out a bizarre conspiracy theory claiming that a voting machine company had worked with an election software firm, the financier George Soros, and Venezuela to steal the presidential contest from Mr. Trump. Do you remember this? The absolute nuttery of it all. People were flabbergasted that we could go this deep into an embarrassing sinkhole of stupidity. Even after having witnessed 4 years of Donald Trump, this seemed like a bit much, as they say. But there was a problem for the Trump team, according to court documents released on Monday evening. By the time the news conference occurred on November 19th, Mr. Trump's campaign had already prepared an internal memo on many of the outlandish claims about the company, Dominion Voting Systems, and the separate software company, Smartmatic. The memo had determined that those allegations were untrue. Again, here's the 14-page memo that is replete with all kinds of hyperlinks and images and debunking the claims that Antifa is involved. It's very complete, put together by lawyers who looked into this. The court papers, which were initially filed late last week as a motion in a defamation lawsuit brought against the campaign and others by a former Dominion employee, Eric Coomer, contain evidence that officials in the Trump campaign were aware early on that many of the claims against the companies were baseless. So there will likely be civil consequences for the individuals who knew better and still forwarded the lie. Because if you get a low information mob of idiots behind you to storm the Capitol and create chaos and violence, your objectives are held up. The documents also suggest that the campaign sat on its findings about Dominion even as Sidney Powell and other lawyers attacked the company in the conservative media and ultimately filed 4 federal lawsuits accusing it of a vast conspiracy to rig the election against Mr. Trump. And remember, even late into this, Sidney Powell was enjoying meetings in the White House with Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, having Rudy Giuliani drag her in there. Drag her, that's a misnomer. She went willingly, gleefully, I would assume. According to emails contained in the documents, Zach Parkinson, then the campaign's deputy director of communications, reached out to subordinates on November 13th, asking them to, quote unquote, substantiate or debunk several matters concerning Dominion. The next day, the emails show, Mr. Parkinson received a copy of a memo cobbled together by his staff from what largely appear to be news articles and public fact-checking services. Even though the memo was hastily assembled, it rebutted a series of allegations that Ms. Powell and others were making in public. It found, and here we go, it found that Dominion did not use voting technology from the software company Smartmatic in the 2020 election, a claim that is widely spread, and it's a lie. That Dominion has no direct ties to Venezuela or to Mr. Soros. They knew, and they continued to spread this nonsense, and that there was no evidence that Dominion's leadership had connections to left-wing Antifa activists, as Ms. Powell and others had claimed. All of it is right here in the memo, proving they knew. As Mr. Coomer's lawyers wrote in their motion in the defamation suit, the memo produced by the Trump campaign shows that, at least internally, the Trump campaign found there was no evidence to support the conspiracy theories regarding Dominion and Mr. Coomer. There we have it. Now, this is a much longer article. I would encourage you to go to the New York Times. It'll be linked below in the description, but this is important. Some of this stuff gets a little dry, I know, but if we are going to continue on in the manner that we have enjoyed, ruling ourselves, self-governing in a democratic society, you better get past the fact that it's boring and dry. We are on the precipice. I need to come up with a better way to talk about it. But we are gravely at risk of losing our country to fascist assholes who do not care about anything other than maintaining power. They want to fundamentally change the fabric of this country. Many of them want to make just an ethno-state, a country for white Christians. Some of them are unabashed about it, unashamed of their agenda. Thankfully, there are people who are not going to stand for this, and they are suing these individuals, writing books and reporting about what took place. And hopefully, hopefully, Merrick Garland, Attorney General of these United States of America, a law enforcement official of the highest echelon, there will be investigations. There will be grand juries impaneled. There will be testimony taken. There will be subpoenas issued. There will be indictments brought against people who are actively fomenting rebellion and insurrection and violent overthrow of our government. We're going on a year since January 6th, and all I see are idiots with flak jackets on being indicted. Where are the people who organized this? Where are the people who were very likely involved? The Roger Stones, the Donald Trumps, the Mo Brookses, the Paul Gosars, the Lauren Boeberts, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Matt Gaetzes. Where are the documents and the investigations into them? You can only hide so long behind, well, we don't want to look like we're trying to persecute the other party. The actual existence of our nation hangs in the balance while you wring your hands and do nothing. Shame on anyone who's in an actual position of power who is not screaming from the rooftops about saving the country. What do you think? I really would love to know. Am I an alarmist? I don't believe I am. For a long time, I've been known as an unfailing optimist. Too optimistic for many of my friends, for many of my listeners on my podcast. If something is not done, we will be enveloped by the existential threat that faces us. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Follow me on social media. I'd love to connect with you there. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and all of the places where there's social media. I would ask that you consider supporting my work here on the platform. For as little as $2 a month, you can click the join button below this video, wherever it is. You can also go to Patreon, to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. That will also support my work here on the platform. Listen, voices like mine, not necessarily only mine, absolutely not, but voices like mine are important right now. We need to bring to bear pressure on the government to do the right thing. And it is through loud, flapping lips like mine that some pressure will be exerted upon the government. And hopefully I can rally some voices, your voices, to also get involved and become active. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.